The year I loved Beck the most, he personally sent me to prison, taking the blame for his first love. He said, "Cora never endured hardship as a child, she can't handle life in prison." 5 years behind bars, 3 years struggling to survive, he never showed up once. When we met again, he was holding a child, embracing his first love, the three of them happily together. When his gaze fell on the little girl behind me, his eyes reddened. "Ira, whose child is this?" I smiled, "Definitely not yours." Our reunion with Beck was in the 3rd year after my release. At the school's parent-child sports day, I outperformed all the dads and took first place, including Beck. 8 years apart, he still looked like the boy in my memories. Dressed in casual wear, confident and carefree, his tousled hair fluttering in the wind, revealing deep, piercing eyes. He didn't recognize me, or maybe he did. 5 years in prison had worn down the once plump, rounded girl to less than 90 pounds. Cora gently comforted the little girl in his arms. "Zoe, don't cry. Let's have Daddy buy us a Barbie doll, okay?" Etta pouted, pleading with a touch of grievance, "Mom, I want one too." I gritted my teeth and forced a smile, "All right." The originally clear weather began to drizzle. Etta was so captivated by the exquisite Barbie dolls on the shelves that she couldn't move. "Mom, I want this one." Etta was very sensible, choosing only the discounted model tucked in the corner. Even so, I still hesitated. The 4-figure price tag was beyond what I had imagined. "Is there any discount?" The young salesgirl seemed to notice my embarrassment and hesitated before saying, "If you don't mind, you could buy a similar one online." Just then, someone pushed the door open. Beck entered, holding the little girl in one arm and holding Cora's hand with the other. Not a drop of rain touched them. "Daddy, I want the latest model." "All right, whatever you say." He lifted the little girl high up to reach the new arrivals on the top shelf. Etta sensed my hesitation and, holding back tears, said, "Mom, I don't want it anymore." She was always so obedient it broke your heart. I rubbed her cheek gently. "What do you think of that new one?" Her big round eyes suddenly lit up. "Is it okay?" I nodded, and she danced around happily. Etta's laughter caught Beck's attention, and he glanced back. When our eyes met, he furrowed his brow, a habitual gesture of his deep thought. I stepped past him, paid, and left in one smooth motion. "Wait." The man's low, magnetic voice came from behind. "Etta's mom, it's raining. Can I give you a ride?" I shook my head, clutching Etta as we dashed into the rain. After the bath, Etta was video chatting with Gage. "Mom, Uncle's birthday is coming up. Let's go to Grandma's for dinner." I took the phone, tucked Etta in, and turned to leave the room. Gage was my younger brother, 12 years my junior, whom I had raised with my own hands. 8 years had passed, and he now looked like a little adult. "Gage, tell me what you want, and I'll buy it for you." His eyes instantly welled up, the boyish face full of disappointment. "Sister, do you not want me anymore?" My nose tingled with emotion. How could I not want him? But I was the shame of my parents, I couldn't go back to that home. "Gage. Just this once, please, I beg you." In the end, I softened. My Gage was 18 now. I missed him too. On Saturday, I took Etta to the bridal shop and asked the owner, Finn, to look after her. I didn't want her to suffer the cold stares with me. When my mother opened the door and saw me, her smile instantly froze. Her eyes were like hidden knives, cutting me painfully. "Mom." With a sharp slap, my cheek burned fiercely as I was pushed to the side. The cake crashed heavily to the floor, like my life, a puddle of mud. "How dare you show your face here? Why don't you just die out there? Are you trying to embarrass our whole family along with you?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, low and filled with anger. I forced down the bitterness in my chest and rummaged through my bag to pull out a sports watch. "This is for Gage. Please make sure he gets it." From the spacious apartment behind me, curious glances flickered now and then. She probably wanted me to leave quickly. With a sullen face, she took the watch and slammed the door shut. I picked up the cake box, tears dropping noisily onto the ground. As I stood to leave, my eyes met Beck's. He stood by the fire escape, a half-smoked cigarette dangling from his fingers. Smoke curled around him, obscuring his expression. He recognized me, probably thinking I was just as unlucky. I wandered the streets like a lost soul. Over these 8 years, I had grown used to the coldness of human nature, believing my heart had become still as water. But my mother's bitter curse still stabbed deep. They forced me to confess, all for the chance to cooperate with the Beck family's corporation. Now they resent me for having been in prison, saying I brought shame to their family. But they know better than anyone that I was wronged. Looking back carefully, all the misfortune began the moment I met Beck. 18, the age when love first stirs. To meet someone so wild and defiant at that time, how could I not be moved? He was 2 years older than me, a senior in the same university department, and the undisputed campus heartthrob. Beck's mother was a renowned lawyer, his father the CEO of a publicly listed company. A total winner in life. At first, when I approached him, he was cold and disdainful. I wisely kept my distance. So many people liked him, what chance did I have? In our junior year, he was drugged and framed by someone, and I took him to the hospital. After that, he began to pursue me actively. I agreed immediately. We watched movies and ate out, just like any ordinary couple. On the day of our senior graduation ceremony, I heard that his first love, Cora, had come back. I took the initiative to break up to let them be together, but he tormented me almost madly all night. That night, when Cora rushed over in his luxury car, she accidentally killed someone. It wasn't until I sat in the defendant's seat that I realized how much Cora and I resembled each other. I became her stand-in, and also her scapegoat. The police quickly tracked down Beck, who insisted that I was the one who drove the car away. He even provided an alibi for Cora. I was forced to take all the blame and served a full 5 years in prison for her. I carried a cake to the bridal shop, where Finn was delicately braiding Etta's hair with a flourish. Finn was the owner and makeup artist of the bridal shop, sharp-tongued but soft-hearted. When I was just released from prison, I was at my wits' end. A former inmate suggested I go out with her to sell. A shiver ran through my heart. Has my life really fallen apart this badly? But with job after job rejection, I began to waver. The bridal shop was my last chance. When Finn asked me where I learned to sew, my heart sank halfway. In prison. Unexpectedly, he didn't reject me like the others. I like men, you don't mind, do you? I awkwardly waved my hand. No. He smiled brightly, like the radiant sun of early spring, dispelling the darkness that enveloped me. We shared the cake together, and Etta ate happily. Finn poked my forehead hard, and I almost fell back. You don't have a sharp tongue? Don't you snap back? The knot in my heart suddenly untied. Even if everyone found me unlucky, at least I still had Etta, and Finn. That day when I came back, I kept feeling like a black car was following me. For several days in a row, that car mysteriously appeared downstairs in the neighborhood or across the street from the bridal shop. It wasn't until the community committee auntie called me that I was sure it wasn't just my imagination. Ira, I advise you to behave yourself. Someone from the police station called to investigate your recent life situation. You'd better not commit a second crime. She spoke with righteous indignation for half an hour, and I listened quietly. My gaze fell on the black car downstairs. I opened the passenger door and sat down directly. Beck squinted his eyes, leaning back in the driver's seat to rest. He seemed startled, quickly sitting up straight. The heavy smell of smoke in the car made me frown. Beck, it's been 8 years. You impersonated a police officer and called the neighborhood committee to check on me, trying to send me back to prison? Or have you forgotten why I went to jail? A flicker of panic crossed his eyes as he gripped the steering wheel tightly. Is that how you see me? I sneered without answering, tacitly agreeing. He sighed and his tone softened. I checked. That child is 7 years old this year, sent from prison to the orphanage, the timing matches perfectly. She is. No. I interrupted him calmly. You can do a paternity test, you can investigate, but please, have mercy and let us go. I pushed open the door and got out of the car, when Beck suddenly grabbed my wrist tightly. His voice trembled, I'm sorry, Ira. Leaves fluttered outside the car window, but inside me, there was no ripple of emotion. Fine, I forgive you. The best relationship we could have was no relationship at all. Hating someone is exhausting. At 30, I was already too tired to hate. Actually, he wasn't wrong. If our child were still alive, they would be about Etta's age. Etta's mother is named Line, a girl whose smile reveals dimples. On my first night in prison, a fat woman named Vera climbed onto my bed. She covered my mouth, leaving me drenched in saliva. No one dared to make a sound until Line's uproar summoned the guards. She came in a day before me. She and her boyfriend were convicted of fraud and sentenced to 3 years. Line said Vera was a death row inmate. When the police arrested her, she was dismembering her husband's body. No one here dared to mess with her. I asked, aren't you afraid? She said, I'm scared to death, but I want to save you. Something surged inside me, but I was tongue-tied and never even managed to say thank you. The night Vera got out of solitary confinement, she had half a toothbrush hidden on her. By the time I noticed, Line was already lying in a pool of blood. She then lunged at me, and everyone started jeering. Immediately after, Vera's agonized wails echoed through the prison. When the guards arrived, I was covered in blood, trembling as I bit down on a finger. I had multiple fractures all over my body, and the child I didn't even know I was carrying was lost. I stayed in the hospital for 3 months, and when I returned, I heard that Line was pregnant too. The toothbrush had been stabbed into her arm, but fortunately, it hadn't harmed the baby. Time passed quickly, and I eagerly awaited the arrival of Line's child. But all I received was the news of her death during a difficult labor. It was the first time I truly felt the shock of death so deeply. Goodbye, Beck, was the next afternoon. The usually well-behaved Etta had gotten into a fight with a classmate, and the teacher called the parents to school for mediation. In the office, the teacher was explaining the situation to Beck. Etta said the person in the photo is her father, but Zoe denied it, saying it was her father. The two then pushed each other, resulting in some minor injuries. The teacher awkwardly adjusted her glasses, clearly confused about the relationship between them. Beck clenched the yellowed photo, veins bulging on the back of his hand. In the photo, I was affectionately holding his neck, and his profile was pressed against the tip of my nose. Those were my personal belongings I brought back from prison. I thought I had lost them long ago. I knocked on the door. Teacher, it's all a misunderstanding. We're willing to cover the medical expenses. Beck's eyes were bloodshot, his gaze fixed on Etta standing behind me. Your name is Etta? Etta timidly poked her head out. Are you my dad? He said, yes. I said, no. Both voices rang out simultaneously. The teacher opened and closed his mouth, unable to utter a sound. Just then, Cora came in with the child. She affectionately linked her arm with Beck's. Beck, Zoe is at fault in this too. You can't always spoil her. Etta's mother, the child doesn't understand. How about we just let this matter drop? I chuckled lightly and nodded, that would be best. In the days that followed, Beck didn't show up again. I breathed a sigh of relief, everything seemed to return to calm. When I came home from work, Etta was already asleep, her small body curled up under the blanket, only the top of her head visible. She turned over and kicked off the quilt, revealing the genuine strawberry bear plush hidden inside. Only then did I notice that the half-open wardrobe held several princess dresses. I quietly returned to my room without a sound. The next afternoon after school, Etta indeed got into Beck's car. Her eyes sparkled in a way I had never seen before. Suddenly, I felt a wave of defeat. Was I not good to her? But it seemed that even if I treated her well, it was only enough to fill her stomach and keep her warm. I couldn't offer her more material satisfaction. I rarely even took her to and from school. At 8 o'clock that night, 2 sets of footsteps, one light, one heavy, echoed down the hallway. Then the key turned in the lock, and the security door creaked open with a strange groan. "Uncle, please go back. If Mom sees you, we're finished." Beck chuckled. "Uncle just wants to spend a little more time with you, okay?" Click. The living room light suddenly flicked on. Our eyes met, and Beck's smile froze on his face. Etta dashed into the room. "I'm going to sleep first." "Beck, we need to talk." He followed me into the room. His eyes scanned the cheap wooden bed and the simple wardrobe, and Beck looked somewhat lost. "The things you bought for Etta, I'll cash them out for you as soon as possible." He suddenly straightened up. "I'm her father." "You're not. You can do a blood test, you can check. Etta is just a 7-year-old child. Giving her hope only to shatter it again is cruel. What happened to me, I would never let her experience. Besides, you have your own children, you need to be responsible for your family." He paused, seemingly not quite understanding my words. "You mean Zoe? She's Cora's daughter, I'm just her godfather." "That's not the point." I cut him off coldly. "Who you are, a husband or a father to, I don't care. My life now is hard one, please, spare us." His voice trembled, like a beast growling low. "Ira, do you have no heart?" My gaze drifted, and my consciousness involuntarily sank into memories. "I do. It died 8 years ago. If it hadn't died, I wouldn't have survived." Beck's pupils contracted sharply, and he slowly crouched down. "Ira, let me make it up to you, okay?" "No need. I've already gotten through the hardest times. After Finn found out about this, he gave me a few days off. Stay home and spend time with Etta, don't give that bastard any chance." Etta's behavior surprised me a little. She stuffed all the toys Beck gave her into the wardrobe and kept silent about anything related to him. I knew she was sad. But compared to the despair after falling apart, this loss was nothing. I looked up the prices online. Altogether, it was about 30,000. After deducting living expenses and borrowing a bit from Finn, it should be enough. It was just that I didn't have Beck's contact information, which put me in a bit of a bind. During my time off, a colleague called to say a customer specifically requested me. I hurried over, only to find it was Cora. She grabbed my hand in surprise. "Ira, is that really you? You've changed so much." I calmly pulled my hand away. "Has Cora picked out a wedding dress?" She pulled an invitation from her bag. "Beck and I are getting married on the 8th of next month. I hope you can come." Cora shook the emerald jade ring on her hand, her eyes brimming with pride. "Beck is such a straightforward guy. Everyone else proposes with a diamond ring, but he said this is a family heirloom, more precious than anything else." I scoffed. "Cora, you're not as confident as before. If he loved you enough, why would you need to test my attitude?" Cora's mouth twitched, her earlier composure gone. "You'd better stay away from him." I turned and walked away, not wanting to get entangled with her. Unexpectedly, she got angry and grabbed the ashtray, throwing it at me. Luckily, Finn was quick-eyed and quick-handed, pushing me aside just in time. The ashtray grazed the back of my head and crashed heavily onto the floor. "Watch your man, don't let him pee everywhere, marking his territory. Women making things hard for other women? Have some shame." When it came to arguing, Finn had never lost. Cora, knowing she was in the wrong, lost all her momentum. "One of you's been to jail, the other's gay, what a perfect match." Finn looked indignant and wanted to chase after her to yell. I hurriedly grabbed him. "Thanks, just pretend you got bitten by a dog, okay?" He shook off my hand and gave me a glare full of frustration, like I was hopeless. Useless. I nodded vigorously. Finn's right. My gaze accidentally swept past the window, and only then did I notice that someone had appeared by the door, though I had no idea when. He was impeccably dressed in a suit, his posture upright, and his eyes carried a dangerous, provocative glare, somehow familiar. Just as I was about to greet him, he suddenly took a step back and left. That night, the heavy rain arrived as expected. I hurried out of bed to close the balcony window. The familiar black car downstairs hadn't turned off its engine, the driver's door wide open. Beck stood in the rain, tilting his head up, staring fixedly in this direction. The moment the balcony light flicked on, he seemed to take a step forward, then suddenly stumbled and collapsed onto the hood of the car. I only felt exhausted, pretended not to see, turned off the light, and went back inside. Lying in bed, tossing and turning, I suddenly recalled things from the past. On the day I learned Cora was returning to the country, I confronted him. I took the initiative to break up to let them be. In his angry yet restrained eyes, there was nothing but unwillingness. He lowered his head and kissed me fiercely. I sank into that kiss, drawn in by him, falling deeper with every step. At the peak of passion, I keenly sensed his distraction. Perhaps he did it to make Cora care about him. But at that time, my love was too fervent, even knowing I was being used, I still savored it like honey. Yet now, with his unwavering devotion, who was he trying to impress? I couldn't hold back and went downstairs. Beck saw me and his face lit up. His eyes flicked to the briefcase in his hand, so he had gone to investigate the abuse, assault, and miscarriage I suffered in prison. I tilted the umbrella slightly toward him. Beck, do you finally believe Etta isn't your child? Our child was strangled by your own hands. He was struck like lightning, collapsing weakly to his knees. Ira, I'm sorry. He sobbed uncontrollably, covering his face like a child in anguish. Beck was proud to his core, I had never seen him bow to anyone. Yet now, he knelt before me in repentance. I crouched down and stuffed 30,000 yuan into his hand. This is the money you gave for Etta's gift. I don't want it. Even if Etta isn't my flesh and blood, I'm willing to be her father. Ira, please give me a chance. He pleaded almost in a roar. I sighed, wondering how to dispel his unrealistic notion. Suddenly, the car's headlights lit up behind us, the glare so strong I couldn't open my eyes. Before I could react, Beck had already grabbed me and pulled me aside. As the car sped past, I finally remembered who the man I saw at the bridal shop today was. The fiancé of the girl who was killed by Cora. We had met in court before. Are you okay? I stumbled as I climbed off Beck. He frowned in pain, but the corners of his eyes and brows betrayed an unmistakable joy. Ira, I think I'm seriously hurt. Should I take you to the hospital? No need, just come to my place and help me put some medicine on it. He just saved me, and I couldn't stand by doing nothing, so I had to agree. Beck's clothes were soaked through, and when he came out of the bathroom, he could only cover himself with a towel. But was it really necessary to wrap it so low? He pointed at his abdomen with a wronged look. Ira, it hurts so much. Beck used to be into fitness, and probably still kept up the habit. His abdominal muscles were tight and well-defined, but the scrape was less than a centimeter long. Was he serious? Seeing I didn't respond, he nervously changed the subject. I feel dizzy and nauseous. Could it be a concussion? He practically had the words "I want to stay over" written all over his face, with a hint of using the favor to ask for something. I'll sleep with Etta, you take my room. Your clothes have already been washed, you can wear them first thing in the morning. Etta was sleeping soundly, but after all this commotion, I had completely lost any desire to sleep. After a long while, I heard Beck making a phone call to someone. Check this license plate number. I want all the owner's information by tomorrow morning. He sensed something was wrong too. The next day was the weekend, and a customer had an appointment to try on a wedding dress at 8. As soon as I stepped out of the room, I saw Beck wearing a strawberry bear apron, carrying 3 breakfasts from the kitchen. Seeing me come out, he habitually urged me to wash up. Then he turned to wake Etta. Etta screamed excitedly, hugging his neck and refusing to let go. The atmosphere was so harmonious, as if we were a family of 3. Etta, ask Mom if Uncle can take you to the amusement park? Etta scratched her head and said bluntly, Uncle, Mom is sitting right next to you, why don't you ask her yourself? I buried my head in my sandwich, not wanting to join their childish conversation. But the scene from last night still haunts me, and I'm a bit uneasy leaving her home alone. You can go, but you have to behave. Yes. The two of them high-fived excitedly, as if I wouldn't let them go otherwise. Beck used the excuse of staying in touch to add me on WeChat. Then he bombarded me with messages, photos of him and Etta together, and pictures of us from the past. This man really knows how to push his luck. Once I pick Etta up, I'm blocking him. In the afternoon, Beck came with Etta to pick me up from work. I hesitated for a moment but still got in the car. But the direction the car was heading. Where are we going? Mom, Uncle is taking us to stay at his big house. Etta tilted her little head up, eyes full of anticipation. Beck is taking me home. Before she finished, Beck suddenly slammed on the gas pedal. His expression turned serious in an instant. The car that hit us last night is following us. I looked back, and sure enough, it was that man. So it was intentional last night? So Beck wanted us to stay at his place? Don't be afraid, I'm here. Beck flashed a sly smile as the car weaved through the traffic like a dragon. This move quickly attracted the attention of the traffic police. He slammed on the steering wheel, forcing the car tailing us to pull over to the roadside. I was still shaken, holding Etta tightly. He turned back and patted my head reassuringly. I'll have someone take you to my place first. When I get back, I have something to tell you. Beck lived in a villa district on the outskirts of the city. The huge house was empty and quiet. Etta, frightened, fell asleep leaning against me. Soon, someone rang the doorbell. I thought it was Beck returning. Opening the door, a face strikingly similar to Beck's appeared. She wore a professional suit, simple and efficient, surely Beck's mother, Lawyer Ilo. Hello, Ira, I'm Beck's mother. I awkwardly stepped aside to let her in. After sitting down, she pulled out a stack of documents from her bag. It turned out the man who had been following us was named Rex, recently returned from abroad, and apparently had ties to the underworld. Rex's target is you, Beck can't compete with him. Then she pushed over a few more papers, our marriage registration and divorce certificate for Finn and me. You were willing to fake a marriage to get through the adoption process for an unrelated child, all the more so for you and Beck, who once loved each other so deeply. If it weren't for your parents' greed, using your relationship to leverage cooperation, Beck wouldn't have misunderstood you, and none of what happened afterward would have occurred. My heart felt as if it had been crushed in a vice, suffocating despair spreading through my entire body. A light, dismissive word, misunderstanding, brushed aside 8 years of my suffering in a single stroke. He and Cora are getting married, Etta, and I really don't belong here. Hearing the answer she wanted, she pulled a bank card from her bag. This is my token of goodwill. I scoffed without responding. The best relationship we have is no relationship at all. I held Etta and left, taking a taxi back to my own home. This was the bride price Finn had forcefully given me when we had our fake marriage. There was no romantic feeling between us, but his favoritism was for Chi-Ching. I could comfortably enjoy this favoritism, but I absolutely could not drag him down. Rex had been to the bridal shop. He must have found out about my relationship with Finn. Etta hadn't woken up, so I gently pressed a kiss to her forehead. Outside the police station, Beck and Rex came out one after the other. The tension between them was palpable, as if a fight could break out at any moment. At the street corner, I stopped Rex's car and got straight into the passenger seat. He was slightly taken aback, then let out a disdainful laugh. The car sped up, veering further and further off course. At this moment, I felt an unusual calmness inside, without a trace of fear. How bad could someone so infatuated really be? I calmly recounted the past 8 years of my life. From being wrongfully imprisoned, molested, and suffering a miscarriage, all the way to the sham marriage and adopting Etta. The screeching brakes sounded especially sharp in the quiet countryside. If he had looked into my past, he would know I wasn't lying. He asked in disbelief, why? I nodded and smiled with relief. Hating someone is exhausting. I want to let myself go. There are so many good people in this world worth loving. Why should I cling to the dirty things from the past? Those words seemed to touch a soft spot in his heart. The corners of his eyes were red, tears welling up, his breath trembling slightly. Just then, his phone screen lit up, the contact name displayed as wife. Rex, I'm telling you, if you dare get yourself into trouble, I'll abort the child and marry a man younger and richer than you. Though clearly a scolding, every word was laced with I love you. Big tears rolled down his cheeks. He forced a smile and answered in as calm a voice as he could muster, honey, let's get married. The voice on the other end was hoarse as well, all right, no backing out. On the way back, we sat in silence. Light, soothing instrumental music played in the car, and the breeze outside was gentle. Rex dropped me off at the apartment building, gallantly opening the car door for me. Ira, thank you. I nodded and smiled, congratulations on becoming a dad. He suddenly smiled shyly, then eagerly rushed to his lover's side. Unlocking his phone, he saw many missed calls, all from Beck. I walked upstairs under the moonlight, feeling incredibly at ease. But I knew behind the door, a tangled argument was still unfolding. Etta's room was half open, Beck leaned against the headboard, telling her a story. When she fell asleep, he carefully tucked her in and tiptoed out of the room. He looked a bit disheveled. A blue stubble grew on his chin, and his shirt was wrinkled, not even changed in time. Your mom came looking for you? Yeah. Why didn't you wait for me to come back? I have something to say to you. He suddenly raised his voice, his tone both aggrieved and stubborn. I raised an eyebrow and smiled lightly. Beck, what is it you want to say? That we should forget the past and start over? Or that I should be the third party in your marriage with Cora? Beck staggered back a step. Ira, it's not like that. It was an arranged marriage set by both our parents. I didn't know anything about it. But I can't pretend to be ignorant, bear the guilt you've given me, and act like everything's fine being with you. Beck's eyes shattered, as if he was about to cry. His mouth opened and closed, hesitating to speak, but in the end, he dragged his heavy steps and left. Days moved forward in an orderly fashion, and everything seemed to return to its original course. Cora picked out the most expensive wedding dress in the shop. Beck held Cora's daughter's hand, smiling with affection. During the card payment, Beck's eyes were red as he said to me, Ira, I will repay what I owe you. I didn't understand what he meant by that. I forced a professional smile and replied, wishing you a happy wedding. Cora and Beck's wedding was held at the largest hotel in the northern city. The Grand Hotel was filled with Cora's favorite champagne roses. Entertainment media broadcasted the entire event live, the perfect match of talent and beauty made others envious. In the comment stream, netizens showered blessings, the screen filled with happy wedding messages, dazzling to the eyes. Suddenly, a wave of abusive comments quickly drowned out the well wishes. Cora ran over a young girl with her car 6 months ago, then hired someone to take the blame, and now she's stealing someone else's fiancé. Cora had a daughter with a Japanese host, and she still managed to marry into a wealthy family. Beck is such a fool. Soon after, more netizens came forward with revelations. During her studies abroad, Cora bullied classmates and frequently hung out in nightclubs. Cora's family conglomerate scrambled to manage the public relations crisis, but it was clear someone was orchestrating this behind the scenes, fully prepared. The wedding livestream was forced to shut down, and the topic's popularity was repeatedly suppressed. Suddenly, Beck's official group website reposted the negative news about Cora, sending the buzz soaring once again. Finn rushed over anxiously and pulled me into the makeup room. His eyes gleamed with a satisfying excitement. This was filmed live by my friend at the scene, so thrilling. On the big screen at the center of the wedding, the entire footage of Cora's hit and run from 8 years ago played. I remember that footage was maliciously erased back then. It was also a key reason I ended up in prison. Soon after, the police received a report and rushed to the scene to make an arrest. Cora tried to escape. She leapt from the hotel's 4th floor, landing in the hotel swimming pool below. The police waiting downstairs swarmed up and arrested him. I roughly guessed whose doing this was. I called Rex, and that confirmed it. But what he said next surprised me a bit. Beck found me first. I only provided part of the evidence, fanning the flames and pushing things forward. Suddenly, I understood what he meant by "I'll repay what I owe you." So marrying Cora was part of his plan too? As evening approached, I received a call from Beck's mother. Her voice was urgent, trembling with tears. "Ira, can you come over? Beck insists on confessing, telling the police the truth. He perjured himself and caused you to go to prison. If he does that, he'll definitely go to jail. He's the only heir in our family, his life can't have a blemish." Finn stood behind me, angrily snatching the phone. "What's the matter? Your precious son can't have a stain, so Ira deserves to rot in jail for someone else? If Beck turns himself in, I'd respect him as a man. If he doesn't have the guts, then he deserves to be a lifelong coward and bastard. Don't ever call Ira again about your family's mess, she can't help you." I stood there stunned, casting a look of admiration at Finn. Everyone talks big, but how is he so impressive? He caught my gaze and looked a bit embarrassed, awkwardly running his hand through his hair. "What's wrong? Got lipstick on your teeth?" I shook my head. "No, I just realized I'm in love with you." He jumped back about 2 meters, looking utterly disgusted. "Are you crazy? My boyfriend's coming back, and in a few days we're going abroad to get married. I might not even come back after that." I looked at him reluctantly. "What about the bridal shop?" Finn haughtily lifted his chin. "I'm leaving it in the hands of my ex-wife." "Me? I've earned enough money. I'm retiring to enjoy life." Finn was a true go-getter. Within a few days, he packed up and settled abroad with his boyfriend. I gradually took over the bridal shop business. It was tough, but I enjoyed it, finding a unique kind of satisfaction. One day, a very special customer came to the shop. Rex came to pick out a wedding dress with his visibly pregnant wife. He carefully supported her waist, occasionally reminding her to watch her step. The girl smiled brightly and scolded him impatiently. "Any woman can get pregnant, why am I the only one so delicate?" Rex chuckled softly but still followed her meticulously, afraid something might go wrong. Life cycles endlessly, what is lost will return to you in another form. Rex said that Cora was found guilty of hit and run with sufficient evidence and was sentenced to 10 years. Beck confessed without denial to perjury and was sentenced to 3 months. Originally, his mother, lawyer Chen, had already pulled some strings so he could be out after a symbolic few days, but Beck refused and demanded the judge handle it according to the law. "Your compensation will be coming soon. Justice may be delayed, but it will never be absent." Rex's wife handed me a packet of wedding candies before leaving. She said mysteriously, "This packet is different from the others. Thank you for preventing Rex from making a huge mistake." Her words piqued my curiosity. I was eager to find out what made this packet of candies different. Opening the wrapper, inside was a pile of yellowed shredded paper. At a glance, I recognized Beck's handwriting. "Dear Ira, I'm sorry, a single mistake back then caused us to miss out on 8 whole years. Cora said she met someone, it's not serious, and a little money can fix it. I want you to care about me, not push me away to someone else. Even if you stay with me for money, I would be willing. When I returned from a business trip abroad and heard you were imprisoned, I nearly went mad. I'm a coward, I didn't even have the courage to visit you. For 8 years, every night in my dreams, I confessed to you, but you never responded. At the school sports meet, that single mother looked a lot like you, but you were fatter, and your eyes and brows didn't carry the same melancholy as hers. On Gage's birthday, I finally confirmed it was you. Ira, how much suffering did you endure to become like this? I felt like a rat in a ditch, not even daring to give you a hug. Do you hate me? But how come you don't even hate me anymore?" I didn't dare to look any further, I was afraid I would soften and forgive him. But every day, Etta kept asking, "Where's Uncle Beck? Why doesn't he come to see me anymore?" The day Beck was released from prison, I stood far outside the crowd. Many people came to pick him up, holding bouquets, and some even brought braziers. I had empty hands and felt a little embarrassed to step forward. 3 months had passed since we last met. He had lost a lot of weight, and the defiance that once shone in his eyes was gone, replaced by a hint of maturity. He glanced left and right, as if searching for something. Foolishly, I thought he must be looking for me. I shifted my feet slightly, standing where he could see me. His eyes suddenly lit up, and he pushed through the crowd, striding quickly toward me. I opened my arms to welcome him. He hesitated for a moment, then held me tightly in his embrace. Tears trickled down the back of my neck, soaking into my clothes, cold and uncomfortable. He asked pitifully, "Ira, I'm someone who's been to prison. Would you despise me and forbid me from seeing Etta?" I feigned confusion and asked, "You only want Etta?" He was dumbfounded, struggling to speak. "I also want to marry you." I thought for a moment, then seriously held out my hand with 5 fingers spread wide. "If you can conjure a ring right now, I'll marry you." He was so overwhelmed with excitement that he didn't know what to do. He turned and ran to his mother's side, trembling as he took off the heirloom ring. Then, with a serious yet clumsy gesture, he slipped it onto my ring finger. "Now you're not allowed to back out."